Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Bird and Goal podcast. Bird and Goal from the 10. That is week 10. I am joined here by my lovely co host. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What is up, everybody? It's Colby. We are back. Are you ready?
To crash out? Is it the crash out episode? The long anticipated crash out episode? Have you finally lost hope? Because I sure have.
I don't know. I feel like it's same old Cardinals, but I don't know if I'm ready to crash out yet.
Well, you know, everybody, when we lost to the Titans, said this was probably the most embarrassing loss. For me, a blowout, especially in the fashion that we got blown out, which wasn't a total blowout, but still, it felt that way. Those losses to me are more embarrassing, especially when it gets a division opponent and an annoying fan base as Seattle, because things got ugly very quickly.
hmm
Um, First 5 minutes of the game, 14 points for Seattle. Of course, they score on the opening drive, which was kind of to be expected. They are a high-powered offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba, hell of a wide receiver, got that first tud, which set the tone. But unfortunately, early on in the game, you fumbled the ball twice, set up opportunities for them to keep pounding it down our throats.
Yeah, no, you definitely. We talked about it all season about how you'd rather close games instead of getting blown out. It speaks to the competitiveness of the team. Uh, that was not the case Sunday. Sunday they got outclassed in every aspect of the game. They got punched in the mouth, and Sam Darnold had his feet up. By the end of the first quarter, and completed 12 passes, only threw the ball 12 times.
You know what? I do have the box score pulled up here. Yeah, 12 attempts, 10 completions.
Yeah, light day at the office.
Which is funny because our final score of the game was 44-22. Jacoby Percent, 44 attempts, 22 completions. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't even notice that. That's spooky.
Yeah. So, that really, I don't know. I don't even know what you want to call that. But I'm going to go ahead and say hello because we've got some lovely folks in the chat. Silver Wolf, let's go. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Lorenzo says, Jackie, what's the new? What news do you have for us? You on the driver's seat of the tank season we're having? You uplifting our spirits for optimism for a better record in the second half? What are your thoughts? Well, I think I just kind of laid it out there that I am no longer optimistic for the second half of the season, um, which is crazy because I don't feel like it's been that long. Because I think that I've been kind of waiting for us to kind of get rolling at some point in the season. And then, when I said bird and goal from the 10, that's when it finally clicked like, oh, we are at the halfway point and we just don't seem to have our footing. We don't seem to have an identity. We don't know a clear direction of where this team is going. And at this late in the game, you're in week 10 and you only have 3 wins. I think that you're doing yourself more of a favor to, I guess, tank than you are to try to win games because playoffs seems to be out of reach. Um, so unfortunately, all optimism has left because we are just in a weird spot. We're in a weird spot because I don't know what the direction of this team is going to be.
Yeah.
Not a lot of options at the end of the season where we want to go. I am a an anime fan, and to kind of quote one of my favorite anime villains from the series My Hero Academia, there is a line where the villain Overhaul says, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." And I feel like, yeah, playoffs, that's was supposed to be the goal. What was the plan? So now that seemed just to be more of a wish. So I don't know where we go from here. And I'll tell you what, though, one thing is for certain with as far as the quarterback situation, Jacoby Brissett, for better for worse, we are still stuck with him, um, at least for the next few weeks. And then you get well, does Kyler even finish out the season? Does he just sit? But either way, I'm not going to get into the whole, oh, if Kyler were to have played, would this been a better outcome? Would have been the same outcome? Would have been a closer game? Because at the end of the day, he is hurt. So there was no going to him at any point, and that's how it's going to be for the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're 3-6, and this was supposed to be the easy part, the easy half of the schedule. A lot of Cardinal fans probably thought the record would be flipped, and now you're getting into the rough part. You still have 2 games against the Rams. You got to play Will Anderson and the Texan defense. The Jags, they have question marks at quarterback as well, as do the 49ers, but they're still good teams. They're having good seasons. You get Baker and whatever 3 fans they pick out to play wide receiver, and he'll put 35 points on you. So it's definitely a tough road ahead. You need probably 10 wins to have a shot to get to the playoffs, which means the Cardinals need to go 7-1. I don't see it. You'd like to maybe get to last year's win total, which was 8, which means you've got to go 5-3. I don't know if they've got that in their bag, so you're probably already looking at a little bit of a step back record wise, given the injuries. Probably to be expected. I think I saw the stat that the Cardinals have the second most amount of money, salary cap space on the IR this season, behind the 49ers. But they're 6-4. They're winning games with their guys hurt. They haven't had Purdy for every other week he misses a game. And they're finding ways to win games, so it's a little frustrating. Our guys are hurt. The wide receivers, I don't even know who's playing wide receiver this week for the Cardinals, because they're all banged up. But we're just kind of crumbling, falling apart in the same old Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think I've said this before on this show, but when you have injury, it's a testament to a good coaching staff that you can coach around injuries. And it's also a testament to your GM, getting acquiring the depth that you need. Um, I'm not out on Monty Ossenfort, especially because of the way he's handled the corner depth and how decimated that position group has been. For me, if you're going to give anybody a pass in this last game or in the season total, it's going to be the corners, because they had a tough assignment in JSN, the ghost of Cooper Kupp, and then the newly acquired Rashid Shaheed. So they it was a tall ask. It's hard to shut down the same guy twice a year. But all other things considered, when we're talking about depth, is now we're in a terrible situation, of course, that no one can predict, that you wouldn't think would happen, is you're out all of your wide receivers except for your Michael Wilson and your Greg Dortch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even, is Xavier Weaver even going to play? Because I know he's having some issues as well. Semi Fehoko went to the IR. Zay Jones he's done. He popped his Achilles. You saw that on TV. It was gross. So I would imagine it's going to be the Trey McBride show going into next week against San Francisco. Probably see a little more action out of Elijah Higgins. I know he's had a fairly quiet year, but I still feel like he's a very good tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to get really creative in your passing game, especially because your running game is non-existent.
Right, and that's something that Drew Pensing does so well, right, is get creative.
Right.
Yeah, we're definitely staring up the hill, and it's going to be a tall task. I don't think he's quite the creative offensive Sean McVay mastermind to really come out and just surprise San Francisco with Elijah Higgins and Xavier Weaver and Andy Bush-Ellie.
Yes, the savant journeyman.
Yep. So it's going to be pretty thin at the wide receiver room. You don't have Tip, so the tight end room is already thin. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and I'll get into it because we talked while it's still fresh on my mind. We talked before we went live, because I asked you, was when we hired JG, did he pick Drew Petzing? And they've got history. What was it?
Yeah,
3 years.
they spent
They're
4 years. They spent 4 years together in Minnesota. From 2014 to 2017, they were on the staff up there.
which surprising. I was today years old finding out that he was actually a wide receiver coach.
Yeah,
Um,
Pensing was correct.
yeah. So just given that, you're trying to develop what was supposed to be a generational talent in Marvin Harrison, we haven't done that. We haven't done a very good job of getting him involved in the passing game the way he should be. The passing game in general is very lackluster. So it makes me wonder, like, what if I'm a head coach and I'm looking for my coordinator? If I'm a defensive head coach and I'm looking for an offensive coordinator, I ask, this would be my thought process is, okay, what do you want your offensive identity to be? Run first. Cool. What happens when you can't run the ball? What happens when you have injuries and you can't run the ball? What happens when the game plan, goes out the window because you're already down 3 scores?
Mm.
Do you have it in your bag to open up the passing game, to get creative, to get something going on your offense when what you want to do is not working? And I don't see that out of Drew Petzing. And that's what's very frustrating. And we saw that in this game. You can't run, not that you could have run the ball anyways, but you can't run the ball when you're down that bad.
No, and I will say on that though, with how quick they got down early, you can't just abandon the run. Like I know Jacoby threw the ball 44 times, but like you still have to at least run a play action, run a run a dive, run a cutback, run a counter, run something off the end to at least keep the safeties honest, to keep the linebackers honest. So I know a lot of people get frustrated when you see those, and it's like, oh, you're down 3 scores. Why are you running the ball? And it's like we saw it all the way back with the game against Vegas. With the Kyler Murray comeback and the 2-point conversion, like they still ran the ball that game, and they had success running the ball, and that's really why they got back into that game against Oakland or Vegas. So you'll still see NFL teams run the ball, and like that's like a lot of fans' concerns is like, hey, you're down. Why are you running the ball? You're going to take the clock. You're going to eat the clock yourself. But it's just like, in baseball, if you're down 4 runs, the first batter up, it can't be swinging for the fences and trying to hit a 4-run, base hit. You got to small ball it. You got to stay true to running the ball and staying balanced. And a lot of people don't understand it.
But that's the thing. There is no balance with this offense.
Mm-mm.
And, you kind of see where, everybody's talking about how Jacoby runs the offense better because he stands in the pocket and throws. But you're still seeing some of the same issues that Kyler Murray had. The route concepts, they're still taking a while to develop, so you have to hang in the pocket a little bit longer. You're getting hit. And they're just not great concepts to begin with. There's Theo Mackey had posted a thread of some film where it's like, if Marv was attacking the middle of the field versus on the outside, like this would have been a completion or a better play. But, just stuff like that. And in regards to Jacoby, you also, you see the pros and the cons of being a true pocket passer or statue back there. You're going to get hit, and you are, unfortunately, when your arms cocked back, they're going to knock it at it. And
No, that's what you're going with. Jacoby is a statue. He's definitely one to, and he's gotten credit and some positive praise for being able to stand in the pocket and take that hit and still deliver, a nice pass. We saw it against Indy. Didn't see it really much against Dallas. They weren't kind of getting after him. But yeah, this week, Mike Macdonald is a pretty damn good defensive coordinator, and they schemed up just going after him. Bringing 5 guys, bringing that 6th guy on a delayed blitz, and just kind of he's going to be back there, which is fair. That's the trade off. When you have a mobile quarterback, that's what you can't do. You can't just all of you go to a spot because Kyler can get out of that. Running quarterbacks can get out of that. Jaden Daniels, Lamar, they'll walk right past you. But when you do have that big statue pocket passer, the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Aaron Rodgers, the Jacoby Brissetts, they're going to stand there and like, hey, I know when I get this corner on the offensive tackle, like he's gonna be right there. Like it's not a well, is he? Is he gonna spin out? It's like Jacoby's going to be there, so there's no sort of like in the back of your head anticipation that he's gonna duck or get crafty with it.
Yeah, I had seen an interview with one of their D linemen after the game, and I wasn't aware of like all the injuries they had, but I guess some of these guys were second stringers kind of coming in because the starters hurt. But somebody called him a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the trade off. You're not mobile, so you're going to stand there. You're also going to take a lot of sacks, which going forward, because your backup is Slovis, is that sustainable? Can you protect yourself? I'm gonna say hello to some folks here. Iona, is that how I pronounce it? She says hello. She's got in her picture her Seattle Seahawks gear.
She's a Seahawks fan.
Yes, so I appreciate you not coming in here and telling us we suck. The Niners. Yeah, pray for us because the simultaneously while we were playing the Seahawks, the Niners were also playing the Rams, so two divisional games going on at the same time. And the Rams got up early, 21-zip. The Niners did make it a closer game. So very cool. I wish we could have done that. There was at one point there was a lot of time. We're only down a couple possessions. Granted we have to score the touchdown and hit the 2-point conversions to even tie it up, but it was tit for tat. Seattle really could have scored at will at any time in that game.
Yeah.
Accelerator says 175 Cardinals, 49ers 10. Tough ask for that. You didn't get to watch the game. Did you at least catch the highlights?
I got to watch some of the highlights. Obviously, you saw the big fumbles early. The Denzel Burke interception was very nice. That was kind of it. From a Cardinals side of it, there really wasn't much highlights.
Yep. Before we went live, was just kind of going through this box score. One sack of the day, which was miraculously a strip sack. Shout out Josh Sweat. And it's frustrating too because our defense had 3 turnovers this game. We could have had 4. There was a fumble on one of the returns, but they recovered it quickly. And you would think, if you cause 3 turnovers, you're winning the game. That wasn't the case because they also caused 2 turnovers. We thought last week that this was going to be a battle of the kickers and it was going to be a lot closer. It wasn't even the case. Ryland didn't even kick a field goal because we just were down bad.
Right. Last week I said it's going to be a low-scoring game, and the first 1 to 15 is probably going to win the game, and Seattle got there in the first 5 minutes of the game, and they won the game.
Correct. And then when you're looking at the stats, 178 yards for Sam Darnold. JSN was and this was in the first few drives of their offensive drives of the game, 93 yards, 5 receptions, and a tud. But just awful. This was the first game that we've lost on all 3 phases. We did have some return blunders. I think Bam lost one in the sun, and then he did drop one that George picked up and ran with. So couldn't get anything going there. Offense, was having issues. Marvin Harrison Jr. having some issues. And, credit where credit's due. I was very scared of the Seattle secondary. They've got some dogs. So, just some great plays on the ball. But when you have a Marvin Harrison Jr. that's been touted as this guy that's going to, win your one-on-one matchups and your contested catches, you've got to be a little more aggressive and trying to come away with the ball there. I want to say he had 13 targets. Now he did score a touchdown towards the end of the game, but just another disappointing showing of him.
Yeah, he had 12 targets for Marv, 13 for Trey McBride.
Yeah. And I had tweeted it out, whatever game plan that you have, abandon it and just throw to Trey McBride because that they were having issues guarding him.
Yeah.
We finally saw a Trey McBride hurdle this year. Love that. But yeah, the run game was atrocious. Bam 4 carries for. I'm sorry, Amari 4 carries, 64 yards. He did have a long breakaway there that I was yelling, "Hold on to the ball."
We all were.
Yeah. Bam 10 carries, 28 yards. A little respectable Jacoby Brissett 4 carries for 31 yards. And we did see a direct direct snap to Greg Dortch for a touchdown. So like at least there's some creativity, but also bonehead play calls. You're running a jet sweep on 3rd and 1, and it's a show of hand, which I get. We're short staffed in the blocking department, but every time Kelvin Beachum reports is eligible, you are showing your hand of it's going to be a run.
Yeah. And multiple times during the Seattle game, the Cardinals failed to convert on 3rd and 1, and that's a team that is built to want to run the ball and establish the run and just grind the clock out. You gotta be able to convert 3rd and 1. It's frustrating to watch them just kind of not get 3 feet.
Yeah, it was just frustrating all around. And then on the defensive side of things, not generating pressure. Like I said, one sack of the day. Real quick, I just want to say thank you to Lorenzo for listening. He's having some internet issues. If he can't come back in the chat, he will definitely watch the replay later. So appreciate you. Iona says, no problem. Definitely praying for you guys to win against San Francisco. Need 49ers loss for sure. I'm rooting for you guys.
That's the thing too, is they're what's their record now? 6-4?
I can look that up real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, they are 6-4.
Yeah.
So they are also coming up against the too many losses to make the playoffs as well. So you're going to get a desperate 49er team that's going to come in here. I have no idea what quarterback is going to play. I saw on the injury report that Purdy was limited, still dealing with his turf toe, but Mac Jones was a full participant today. They also had Ricky Pearsall might be coming back as well. So they're kind of starting to get healthy. We might see Brandon Ayuk in a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm not sure what you're going to get. Like I said, they're sitting 8th in the conference standings. So one more loss and they're going to start running into the same stuff we are, where you've got 7 games left because they've not had their bye, and you're going to have to go 6-1 for if you're the 49ers. So this is a game they've got to have. The Cardinals are kind of reeling. Everyone thinks they're not good. But they, like you said, the 49ers were in the same boat as us last week. We both got, beat up by the other divisional opponent. I think you're always going to have to try to stop 23. Christian McCaffrey, and we know what his success against the Cardinals has been. And you have no Mac this week. They've already ruled him out. And last time these teams played, we saw we had the huge hit by Mac Wilson, and you kind of lose the guy who can lay the wood. So we'll see what the Cardinals do against Christian McCaffrey Sunday.
Yeah, now the optimist in me, we have played spoiler in the past. So that's not out of the realm of possibility. Like I said earlier in the season, there will be a game that we have no business winning, that we should win, or we have no business winning, but we do win. People seem to think that was against the Cowboys game was that game. But given how bad the Cowboys are, easy dub, right? So we're still due for one. So optimist in me says maybe this is the one. And if we see Brock Purdy, which I feel like he hasn't played since like September, but that's probably not true. Maybe he's a little rusty. Maybe he doesn't play very well. Maybe there's a QB controversy there. Maybe there's a soft benching, just like the Cardinal situation.
Right.
Who knows? They don't have a very good defense. Young corners, studs in front.